Hello, Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, and King Ghidorah fans, as well as monster fans. Welcome to another review into the Godzilla Summer Special, and today we're going to be reviewing the fifth film in the Godzilla franchise, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Of course, this is also a Mothra and Rodan film, so this is the third Mothra film and the second Rodan film. This is another crossover film, but it's Ghidorah's movie since it has his name in the title. But of course, Ghidorah isn't actually in this that much. So, but you can also consider this a Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra movie as well, since they're pretty much in it, and they have their own franchises, whereas Ghidorah doesn't. So yeah, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster is the fifth entry. This came out the same year as Mothra vs. Godzilla, 1964. How about that? Godzilla and Mothra both got two films. So 1964 was a pretty good year for monster movies, as we not only got Mothra and Godzilla fighting each other, but we got Mothra, Godzilla, and Rodan teaming up as and having a three-way against King Ghidorah, one of the best villains in the monster franchise, in monster films. Well, pretty much Godzilla films. I think he's a villain in some Mothra films. This might be his first time seeing Rodan, but he's great with him too. So yeah, I'll be discussing the English dub version as I do with most of these Godzilla movies, due to the fact that I mean, it's easier, and it's the one that it's my go-to thing. It's only if the English dub is really bad that I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna stick with the Japanese one. But this one's fine. This movie isn't really much different, so whatever version you pick isn't really going to be much different. Though for some reason, originally, Ghidorah's name was different. They called him Ghidorah in the... I don't know if this is just the American version's title of the film, or if that's what it originally was called when it came out, and then they changed it to Ghidorah, because Ghidorah sounds more better than Ghidorah, because Ghidorah sounds terrible, to be quite honest. And they refer to Ghidorah as Ghidorah, but I'm not calling him Ghidorah. Fuck that. I'm calling him Ghidorah because that's his name. Goddammit. But we will be discussing what I think about it. I'm really excited to talk about this film. From what I remember, it was a good film, and now that I finally rewatched it, I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think about it. So, without further ado, let's dive into this fifth film of the Godzilla franchise and see if it's a good Battle of the Monsters film and also has likable humans. So, without further ado, let's get started. So, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster's plot is this. Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra team up to save mankind from one of its biggest threats from space, a fire-breathing space monster, which is Ghidorah. So that's basically what it is. Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra team up to save mankind after King Ghidorah comes down to Earth and is a threat to destroy the Earth, so they got to team up to defeat him. So, as with all these Godzilla movie reviews, let's start with the characters, because I have to at least mention them. Now, the characters are actually tolerable. They aren't bad. They aren't groundbreaking either. I mean, once again, I have no idea what their names are. There is, I think, another professor, a police officer, a police officer's sister, which is, I think, a journalist or a reporter. One of those things. I think she's a reporter. And that's pretty much it. And then there's like these clinic doctors at the end who join up with them. And then there's this princess from who's a political leader, which I don't know if she's a political leader in Japan or if she's a political leader in another country, But she's basically, her life is threatened from some people who I guess want to take her position. So they try to kill her, and it kind of creates a good tension for the film, the assassination plot with her. And I really think that's interesting. But we follow a group of 4 assassins trying to kill her, and of course they don't succeed. But why would you want them to? So yeah. So pretty much the characters are fine. I mean, the protagonist, I will just say, is a professor or a scientist who's studying a meteor that Ghidorah comes down from. So when Ghidorah finally does take form, because we don't know that he's a monster. This meteor comes down and they don't know what it is, and they're studying it. But the princess is her mind's taken over by a Martian who says that Ghidorah attacked Mars and caused that planet to be in ruins, and they had to escape down to Earth. And she's one of the only few left, I guess. But her ancestors the people from Mars were still alive, but they were known as Earthlings now. They became Earthlings, and their knowledge decreased as time went on, instead of increase. But I think they're increasing. They probably should be considered increasing now, since technology is getting better each decade we keep going. So yeah. But yeah, so the protagonists are the professor who's studying it, the egg with Ghidorah. We got a cop who's supposed to be the bodyguard for the princess when she arrives, to make sure she doesn't get hurt by her assassins, and he ends up saving her 3 times. And then we got the reporter who basically looks out for her and just wants to know the truth, which sounds familiar. So yeah, we got some pretty tolerable characters that we follow, and then I think the assassins are pretty intimidating, because they create a sense of tension, because you don't know when they're going to strike, and you don't know what their plan is. They go after the princess. They don't know. Nobody believes that she's a Martian. They believe she's just pretending, or is doing it to throw off her assassins. But we as the audience know right away in the beginning that she's the princess, but the Martian took over her brain, essentially, and took over her mind, and was the reason that her life was saved a bunch of times, not counting the fact that the cop had to save her as well. But the assassination plot is a good tension builder, and it really helps make the film more interesting in the human side, because while she's a political leader and princess, it's kind of cool that this is the first time they introduce space into the mix, which space and aliens are going to be a big theme in Godzilla, so don't expect this to be the last time we see this. But this is the first film that taps into that, and I kind of think that's pretty cool and interesting. I also think that it makes the princess more engaging, because the assassination plot is pretty good enough, but having her, her mind being taken over by a Martian who knows that these monsters are going to attack and kill these Earthlings and destroy Earth, that's pretty cool too. It keeps the film intriguing on the human side, because we want to know what's going to happen with these characters. Are they going to, is the Martian going to help them out and succeed? And I think the protagonists do take her a bit seriously. I don't know. I think at the end they don't believe that she was a Martian. or they're just they're questionable whether they think it was real. But we as the audience know that it was perfectly real, and it happened. But it made the human side pretty interesting, and I think that really helped made the film go better. Having these human characters, the cop, the reporter, and the professor or scientist, whatever you want to call him, all just doing everything they can to stop the monsters from destroying Earth. And they go to Mothra for help. Mothra, of course, is the typical she's the typical good monster in the Godzilla franchise, as well as in her franchise. Well, not in an original film. Mm-hmm. But yes, that's really all I could say about the human things. It's interesting. There's a lot of suspense and tension. It's good. The three protagonists we follow are great. I think the assassins do a great job of building tension for the film, because we have that looming threat. Because we have someone besides the monsters that are a threat, and that could potentially kill our characters. And the princess, when she's taken over by the Martian, it makes for a pretty cool thing, because she pretty much just becomes like this, a prophesizer, someone that's predicting that these monsters are going to wreak havoc. But I just think the human side is pretty nice and interesting. It's very, sci-fi, tension building. It does everything it makes this human things interesting. So yeah, I think they're pretty good. Now, let's talk about the monsters. So who should I start with first? There are 4 monsters in this film. Mothra, Rodan, Godzilla, and King Ghidorah. Now, let's see. I guess I'll start with Mothra. Why do I'm going to start with Mothra? Because Mothra, like King Ghidorah, has the least amount of screen time. So yes, Mothra is the good monster in this film, and she's not in it a whole lot, just like the last film, so clearly they didn't learn much. But I mean, this film came out the same year, so that really isn't surprising. But Mothra basically is the protector of Earth. She's the one that, keeps them safe and is making sure that, nothing happens to Earth. And the Twin Fairies are are back again. They're very helpful. They are more supportive of mankind now, both them and Mothra, and have their backs. They even come and visit them from Mothra Island to share how Mothra's doing and how they're doing and how their island's doing, and I think that's pretty cool. And makes the Twin Fairies very likable, because, like I said in the last film, they're likable people, and Mothra's people are great. Now, did Mothra improve in this film? Not really. Because, for one thing, unlike the previous film, Mothra did not go into her adult form. She was in full baby mode. She was essentially the caterpillar, or baby Mothra, or whatever you want to call her. She was that for the entire film. And all she did was the same thing she did with Godzilla in the original, in the previous film. She spewed. She, tried to use, I don't know, you go on their tails, and basically just weak attacks. But is she better with other monsters? Is she better with Godzilla and Rodan on her side? Yeah. She's not bad. Rodan and Godzilla both give her a hand, and each give. They don't have combo attacks or anything, which kind of stinks. I mean, Rodan at one point, gives Mothra a lift and flies her around while they spew on King Ghidorah and web him up. Godzilla gives Mothra a lift as well with his tail, so they can help out Rodan, and he fucking throws rocks at King Ghidorah. He doesn't, oddly enough, he doesn't use his breath, which I find pretty weird. I mean, Ghidorah uses his famous lightning attack, so I don't get why Godzilla didn't try to do his fire breathing, just like back at Ghidorah, because that would have been cool. But honestly, Mothra alone doesn't really do much, but thankfully she has other monsters to support her. So she's just the same as the last film. On her own, when she goes by herself, not very compelling, but when she's teaming up with the other monsters, it is pretty interesting. Because she has monsters she has Godzilla and Rodan to back her up and give her help and make the fights more interesting. Now let's go to King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah is the villain of this film, and he's the space monster that's threatening Earth, essentially. And he's fucking badass, let me tell you. He is one of the best Godzilla villains ever. So awesome. The destruction he wreaks is awesome, but it's a little while before we actually see Ghidorah. In fact, he's the last monster we see. We see Mothra first, then we see Rodan, and then Godzilla comes out of the water, and he's third. And then Ghidorah finally shows up. I don't know, like halfway, a little after that, towards the film. And then when he starts wreaking havoc, it's pretty cool because Japan's had a dilemma. They not only have Godzilla and Rodan to deal with, but they got King Ghidorah who's fucking destroying their city. So they got 3 monsters they got to deal with, and Mothra obviously can't fight off 3 monsters. So they come up with the option for Mothra to persuade Rodan and Godzilla to fight King Ghidorah. And I think that's pretty interesting because it makes Godzilla and Rodan, this is the first film they make Godzilla and Rodan hero monsters, which I like. I actually like that they're on the other side. Not that I hate them as villains, but I do like to see them on the other side helping humanity, because then that means that they're not being that means the humans aren't trying to say stop Godzilla or trying to or rooting against Godzilla and Rodan. But Ghidorah is pretty cool. He wreaks havoc. There's not really, he's great. He has a great lightning attack, and when he's destroying the city, he's cool. When he's fighting the monsters, it's fine. It's nothing special. I do think it's funny when Ghidorah uses his lightning attack on Godzilla sometimes, because sometimes he'll aim at his private area, his balls essentially. I don't know if Godzilla has it, but that would fucking hurt. And he makes Godzilla fall on his ass a couple times, which I think is pretty funny. But yeah, Ghidorah is an entertaining villain monster that wreaks havoc and is a great threat. And I think it really helps to have and the fact that it takes 3 monsters to beat him is pretty good. It makes him a more intimidating monster, because it's hard to face this monster one-on-one. So have 3 of them go up against them, and that's pretty cool. I think that makes Ghidorah a really big threat. Now, on with the 2 other monsters. Rodan. Rodan is awesome in this film. In fact, he's really entertaining. As entertaining as Godzilla. And I love Rodan. I really do. In fact, this is the first Rodan film that I'm touching. Rodan had one film before this, his own film. But this is the first film he's with Godzilla, the first film he's with Mothra, and the first film he's with King Ghidorah. So essentially this is his first film with other monsters. But it's pretty cool, and it's nice to see Rodan back, because Rodan was interesting. He had a good original film, so it was nice that they brought him back for this film, because Rodan is awesome. He has so many great moments, guys, I'm telling you. Though there is a weird moment, I don't know if it's an editing mistake, when he gets introduced. So this one scene, Rodan is introduced in the mountains. He's coming out of the mountains. The Martian princess warns everyone that Rodan is coming. They don't believe her, but then when a guy goes down to get someone's hat for money, he sees Rodan coming out, and they all run. And for some reason, when Rodan first comes out of the mountain, he makes Godzilla's roar, and it's fucking weird. Listen to this and see how weird it is. Like, guys, this is Rodan, not Godzilla. They did this twice too. I think I heard it another time as well. Did they forget which monster they were doing? I mean, it's pretty obvious. Rodan was right there. Why the hell did they make a Godzilla roar out of Rodan's mouth? Was Godzilla supposed to be in the beginning? I don't know what the hell happened. It must have been an editing mistake. Or they had no idea what monster was coming out. But that was a nice scene. Another good Rodan scene is, especially with Godzilla. Rodan is great with Godzilla. They're so fucking awesome together. They're like a good duo. I would just love to have a Godzilla versus Rodan movie. That would be the fucking best. They are so good together. As good as King Kong and Godzilla. But probably maybe even better. Another good Rodan moment is when he picks Godzilla up by his back and drops him dick first onto an electrical tower. Fucking incredible. It's hilarious. Look at this scene and tell me how fucking funny it is when Rodan drops him. But yeah, Rodan is very good in this film. His fights with Godzilla are the funniest shit I've ever seen. He has a great introduction into the film. He's just fun. He's really fun. It's so great to see him again. He's like he's like right below. He's like in my top 4 monsters easily. One of my favorite monsters. That Rodan needs to get like his own another movie, because he's only had one. And I mean like a solo movie. It'd be so great for him to get another solo movie, because he really needs one. But in this crossover film, he works. He's great in it. He does what he needs to. He's an entertaining monster. He has entertaining fights. Doesn't cause as much destruction like Godzilla or Ghidorah. But he has great fights with Godzilla, and that counts. He also does well against King Ghidorah when he's helping Mothra out, or when he's, I mean, I would have loved if he picked Ghidorah up, but Ghidorah has wings too, so he's not like Godzilla. And finally, we got Godzilla. Godzilla is awesome. Of course he is. We first see him when he comes out of the water, and that's a good continuation, because Godzilla did come out of the did fall into the water in the last film, which, by the way, they still say Mothra defeated Godzilla in the previous film. That's fucking bullshit. Total bullshit. Mothra did not beat Godzilla in the last film. Godzilla fell into the goddamn water. That's not beating him. But then again, the ending of this one isn't as great either. But Godzilla has great destruction. His fights with Rodan are pretty entertaining. When he helps Mothra out. One entertaining scene is when Mothra is trying to persuade Rodan and Godzilla to fight with them, and the twin fairies translate the monster conversation, so we know what they're saying. And there's one scene where it's kind of questionable that Godzilla might have sweared or cursed. I don't know what he did, but the fairies, when the fairies say he said like some terrible language, it sounds like Godzilla might have cursed or something. Take a look at this scene, where Mothra is persuading Rodan and Godzilla, and the fairies translate, and Godzilla might have cursed.
Mothra says the earth belongs to them as much as it does to man. Oh, Godzilla, what terrible language!
Like, what the hell did Godzilla say? Did he say fuck? Did he say shit? Like, what the hell did Godzilla tell Mothra? Did he say, fuck you, I'm not doing this? Like, I don't know what he said, but it would have been funny to hear it, because that would have been the first time we heard monsters curse. I don't even know why we need to hear the monsters talk. But I mean, it is important because the main theme is Mothra can't fight Ghidorah alone, because one, she's a baby Mothra, and two, she doesn't really have many powerful attacks like Godzilla and Rodan. Plus, size and numbers, so having two more monsters to back her up kind of helps. But I think even if she was in her adult form, she probably couldn't stop Ghidorah on her own, because Godzilla and Rodan are tough monsters, and dealing with three monsters is hard. So, but yeah, Godzilla was very entertaining with Ghidorah and Rodan. Didn't have as many moments with Mothra. So yeah, Mothra kind of was the weakest monster. But then again, I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I don't hate Mothra. I've said this in my previous review. I do like Mothra. She's one of my favorite monsters. I just think that, she's just lacking in this film. Again, she just doesn't have any good moments. She needs some attacks that can make her more intimidating. It's not even just her look. I even heard some people complain about Rodan's look in this film. Rodan does look kind of weird in this film. He looks a lot different than he did in the previous Rodan film. But, I mean, it's fine. I mean, Rodan in his first film looked great. He looked nice, so I don't know what happened to that suit, but maybe they wanted to give him a different look, or maybe they didn't have the original suit. But Rodan's fine, because he's entertaining in this film. I don't really give a shit how he looks, just as long as... I mean, unless if his design was way off and it was insulting, then that would have been a problem. But Rodan looks fine. He looks the same as... He looks similar to what he did in the original film. A little bit different, but we know it's Rodan. But Godzilla and Rodan, I think, are the most entertaining monsters in this film. They are fucking awesome when they fight each other, and when they fight against Ghidorah with Mothra, they are just as good. And not only that, the characters, the assassination plot with the characters are very tension, and it gives suspense. It helps give this film a good feeling, and this film is really good, and I don't know what else to say. These monsters fights were fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I think it did what it needed to, because all I really wanted was just a good battle, three-way battle, four-way battle between Mothra, Godzilla, and Rodan fighting Ghidorah, and I just wanted that to be entertaining, and it was. I mean, we didn't get much of that, but we did get a lot of Godzilla and Rodan in this film, which was great. We got Godzilla Rodan, and then we got Godzilla Mothra Rodan against King Ghidorah, and that made it even better. But yeah, I mean, this film was really lifted by Godzilla and Rodan's appearance. King Ghidorah really wasn't in it that much, but he was a great threatening villain and put up a good fight. Although I do hate that he kind of bitched out at the ending. Ghidorah just flies away. He doesn't get killed. He doesn't get beaten, bloody. He just flies away off into the distance. Like, what the fuck? That's how they're gonna end it? Ghidorah runs away? Ghidorah is supposed to be this intimidating space monster, and he runs away because 3 monsters beat the shit out of him? They barely even had it was like a medium-length fight at best, intercut with the human shit, but yeah. And then he just runs away. But at least this was the first time Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra were heroes. You know what's kind of weird? At the end, Mothra just went to Infant Island, and it was like, and they say goodbye to Godzilla and Rodan. Like, do they not know that Godzilla and Rodan were fucking, wreaking havoc in their previous films, and in this film? I mean, were they changed? Are they now heroes? I mean, I think once they teamed up with Mothra, maybe they realized that being a good monster isn't bad. And I kind of think that's pretty good to have Godzilla and Rodan on the opposite side of the coin and having them as good monsters. Instead of rooting for the villain, you're now rooting for the hero monsters, which makes it more fun. But I guess I'll get into my final thoughts for the film, since there's really not much else I can say about it. It's a really entertaining film. It does a lot of things right. So let's get into my final thoughts. My final verdict on Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster from 1964 is going to be 5 stars out of 5. So I gave it 5 out of 5 because this is a fantastic film. The character sides of things are suspension and tension filled. It keeps me on the engaged with the human stuff. The monsters do what they all need to, and despite Mothra lacking with her co-star monsters, it makes the film better. Because Mothra was fighting against Godzilla, so it was a 1v1 in the last film. But this time, she teams up with not only Godzilla, but with Rodan, and that makes the film more better for her. She may not have good attacks, but she's still good. She's still at least entertaining when she teams up with other monsters. But by herself, she can be a little lacking. Despite Ghidorah being in the main title of this film, he isn't in it much. But when he is, he's a great threat. I just think the way he gets beaten is kind of lame. But Godzilla and Rodan really steal the show in this film, and they should really get their own solo fight movie, because I would watch that shit anytime. It's really good, and honestly, I think it was really good. Made this movie awesome. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster is everything it needs to do. Have tolerable or likable characters and give us good monster action. They deliver on both of those fronts, and I gotta applaud it for that. This is probably the best Godzilla film since the original, as of this series for now. We haven't gotten to the rest of them, but this is the second 5 out of 5 one. And it improves on Mothra vs. Godzilla's stuff, and gives us not only more monster action, but gives us entertaining human stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on it. I would really appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts about this film. What do you think of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster? Do you think it's amazing and is a really good film like I do? Do you think it's bad and is overrated and doesn't deserve the praise it gets? Or do you think it's mediocre? Do you think it's okay, but it could have been a lot better? It could have been improved upon. But leave all your thoughts in the comment section below, and subscribe for more monster content like this. I will be continuing reviewing the rest of the Godzilla franchise, or as much as I can, until the end of August. I will eventually tackle Rodan, Mothra, and their films. Rodan has 1 film, so I don't have to really tackle any other. I'll probably He's in the Godzilla franchise a lot, so that's really all he's in. He only had one film, by himself. So that's the only one that I have to review eventually. And Mothra has her own films as well that I will review in the future. But other than that, I really had a fun time reviewing this film, and I really hope you enjoyed this Saturday with me, and hopefully I will have the sequel of this movie reviewed the same day. Then next time we'll be reviewing Invasion of Astro Monster, which is the 6th film in the Godzilla franchise and is the sequel to this film. From what I remember, it's an okay film, but let's wait it out and see what happens. But thank you guys for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and hopefully maybe I'll have 2 reviews up hopefully this weekend. I keep saying I will, but I always fail. I'm really sorry about that. I do want to, make up for the fact that I didn't give one for you one weekend of the summer special. I really want to give you guys those reviews. So hopefully I'll have 2 up for today. But if not, I'll try again next week. And I'm going to keep trying until the end of the summer special. But thank you guys so much for joining me. And I will see you in the next video. And as always, peace out.